Well, everyone, by my clock or phone, the time's about 4 minutes after 7. We've got 140 plus of the folks that had registered for this online, but rather than make you all wait, I'm going to turn the stage to John Fabsitz, our Scout Executive, to get this kicked off.
All right, Dave, can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect, fantastic. I always have these trouble with this mic on this computer. So good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. We are excited to share some important updates to our summer camp program and activity changes, as well as share with you our health and safety plan for this summer. As we've said before, our decision to operate Lake of the Ozarks Scout Reservation programs this summer was and continues to be based solely on the ability to follow our BSA National Camping Accreditation Program guidelines, local, state, CDC, and other government recommendations and guidelines. Now, over the past several months, our volunteers, our staff, and including the volunteers in our camping, our health and safety, and our risk management committees have been guiding us as how we can operate a summer camp program while following all health and safety guidelines. While our program and activity offerings may look slightly different compared to prior years, this is still the summer camp experience you have come to enjoy, put on by a great qualified, trained, and certified camp staff at Lake of the Ozarks Scout Reservation. Now with us tonight is myself, John Fabsitz, our Scout Executive for the Great Rivers Council, David Harris, our Field Director, Drew Wood, our Program Specialist, Daniel Cookie Wright, for those that you know him, his name is Cookie, our Camp Program Director, Dennis Kearns, our Camp Director, and Dr. Julie Stansfield, our Council Health and Safety Officer. Now if you have any questions, please leave them in the Q&A or chat section of the Zoom, and we'll address those towards the end of the presentation. Now, every member, volunteer, and scouting family has to evaluate their unique circumstances and make an informed decision before attending camp. We hope this information that we're going to present will be helpful as you make the choice, and we can't wait to see you at summer camp this summer. So until then, scout on. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, John, and I'll repeat that. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We're well over 140 people on here. I'm sure that you all are as excited as I am to get to camp and start doing all of the amazing things that many of you have come to know and expect from the Lake of the Ozarks Scout Reservation. As John said, we have a number of facilitators helping out with this presentation, from our camp director to our scout executive and our council health officer, program director, and so forth. As he mentioned, the Q&A box on the screen is the best way to post a question as you have it. The chat box works too, but it's easier for us to follow the Q&A if you would do that. I will also mention that this webinar is being recorded. We'll get it posted on our YouTube page and make sure everybody has a link that you can share with folks if you happen to have missed it. We're excited about camp, and we put a lot of time and energy into a health and safety plan. While we understand that you can never completely reduce or eliminate the risks associated with any kind of activity, we put a lot of time and energy, and as John mentioned, a lot of resources into developing the best possible plan so that you and your scouts can have the best possible experience at camp. Just as a highlight of a few of the things that we've got going on, and we'll go into more detail on these things as we go through. We've got health screenings that are going to happen before camp, before you leave for camp, or as you're leaving for camp, as well as screenings going on during the course of camp. We're limiting camp visitors and eliminating the family night program. We've got some changes to some program and camping arrangements to try and limit the intermingling of groups and units while at camp. Some programs are not going to be able to happen because of physical distancing, but not very many. We've got a lot of great programs that we're still running on, as I said, many of the things you've come to expect. We're redesigning some camp-wide activities and some common areas to help facilitate physical distancing. We're installing and have installed in many cases hand sanitizer and hand washing stations throughout camp, campsite areas, and program areas. We're going to expect face coverings in certain areas. We have enhanced cleaning protocols that we've developed to be used throughout camp, and a dedicated staff member who's going to be responsible for those. We have an emergency response plan that includes isolation and quarantine protocol should somebody develop symptoms. And we're also going to be checking in with units 1 week and 2 weeks after they've left camp to determine if they've had if any of the participants have developed symptoms. I referenced a minute ago a pre-camp medical screening checklist. This is a form that you all will be getting in an email. Everybody who's registered for camp will be able to have one of these, and we'll want the parents of the scouts or the individuals, if it's an adult participant, to complete this immediately prior to departure. This is a checklist to help you determine whether or not you can safely go to camp. If you're exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19 or other things, we don't want to be bringing those into camp. So out of courtesy to your fellow scouts and scouters, pay close attention to this and read it thoroughly, and be careful with as you consider your plans there. We also have a screening form that we're going to be doing temperature checks on and health checks on all of our staff. Our medic is going to be doing that on a daily basis, and we're asking each unit in camp to do that for each of your campers. And we have a checklist that will be provided to you in your Christine or your camp guidebook that you'll get as you arrive at camp. Among the things that we're doing, we have signage going in around camp to remind people of the symptoms of COVID, and hand washing and hand sanitization techniques. We will be giving hand sanitizer to every camper that comes, a bottle of hand sanitizer that you see on the screen. We're also having customized Lake of the Ozarks Scout Reservation neck gaiters that can be worn as a face mask or however you wish as a souvenir that everybody who's coming to camp is getting. As I mentioned before, we have cleaning protocols for all the camp areas and shared equipment and a dedicated staff member for that. At this point, I'm going to pass it off to our camp director, Dennis Kearns, who's going to talk a little bit about the process of arriving at camp and some of the policies and procedures around that.
As everybody else said a while ago, welcome. And we're happy that you're on this webinar. Hear more information about the summer. Summer is going to be a great program. It's going to be more memories that we make for us and our youth. This staggered check-in, if you can email me for your expected arrival time, we will be able to work out the with you on your arrival time to get your check started. Med checks will be a lot. We're not going to let anyone go into camp until after you go through the full check-in at the parking lot. There'll be packets for you. Everything you need will be in the packet. Everyone arrives at camp must submit a screening form. David showed you that. You will hand that from the Scoutmaster, hand that. We will go down through several different questions. We will look them over. We will process you all just as safely and quickly as we can. Family night, because of everything that's going on, this was very hard for us to come in to make this decision of no family night. It's for their safety, it's our safety, your safety, for everybody's safety. It's very hard because family night is very special for the scouts and scouters, and even for us staffers, as come in, get to meet new people and enjoy the camaraderie and friendship. Outside vendors access is very limited. Our food vendor and his staff has been checked out. They will be checked by our medic as well. All campers check in and check out through the camp office. That is true. As you go up to check out, it's just like in the past years. That really hasn't changed much. We just need to account for everybody that comes and goes from our camp. Next, David. Units encouraged to bring your own tents. If you have your tents and you want to use your tents, we would appreciate it if you would do that. This was another decision that was hard to do, but we would encourage you to do this to help everyone out as well. Limited 2 campers per tent. Head-to-toe method will be fine. If they're opened quite a bit, the airflow goes through, and that will be fine as well. But 2 campers per tent. It is not really good for one youth to be camping in a tent by themselves for safety and everything. I noticed one of them was up here on the Q&A a while ago. It's best that we have 2 youth to a tent. Patrol cooking, that is not going to change. The food deliveries is still going to come like normal. The commissary is going to make it up, our QA, our quartermaster, and someone from the commissary will be driving around delivering just as normal. Your first meal that comes in on Sunday evening, we prepare, will be delivered to your campsite for you and your scouts to enjoy. The same thing as Friday night, what we used to call camp-wide feed. It will be prepared and delivered to your campsite. Saturday morning, the continental breakfast. We used to meet at Show and Do, say our goodbyes, we won't be able to do that this year. What we're going to do is deliver that to your campsite as well. On the patrol cooking, we have changed a little bit on how the staples are going to go out. There are going to be more individual packets. It's going to be safer for everyone, and it just won't be a lot of open jars and stuff left around. Next, David.
At this point, I'll start through this and turn it over to Daniel or Cookie. We are one of the methods that we're doing to try and reduce any potential spread is trying to limit the interaction of units and keep scouts and troops grouped together throughout the week. And I'll let Cookie go through and explain that a little bit more.
Awesome. So yes, we're going to be doing camping in pods, and they are mainly based on where you live, your location. This is based off some CDC recommendations we've been following. So you'll be camping in the pod, which is a part of your unit still, and you will be traveling to our 5 different program bases within your pod. So that's kind of changing a lot of things with the program side. So we will be offering a lot of merit badges, and we are doing our best right now to make sure you get all the merit badges you signed up for. Each base will be offering 5 or 6 different merit badges or activities. And then you, just like you already have in the past, get to select which merit badges or activities you get to take. And a lot of the ones that are already in there, we've already taken care of. So that's really exciting. We still offer those programs. Next, please. So here are our program bases. We have 5 program bases. We have the Invention Campus, the East Campus, Lakefront Aquatics, Show and Do, and Outdoor Skills and the Tower. Let's go back one slide and I'll talk a little bit about what these slides are. So each one of these program bases will be able to offer a various selection of merit badges. Right now, Drew and I yesterday, we really looked through, we start with session 1 and we look through and see which ones are the most popular, making sure that scouts can still stay in those same classes they have. So we have went ahead and gone through all of week 1, so those are mainly done. There's a few changes we're gonna have to make, but we went through and picked the most popular 5 or 6, and those are the ones that are gonna be in those program areas. And then on the next one, you'll see the last 2 areas, the Outdoor Skills area and Show and Do. Next, please. So the big question is, which classes will we not be able to offer this summer? And here is the list of classes we can't offer due to social distancing. And also, our schedule has changed. We won't have any more 4-day classes because we're actually going to be offering 5 classes over the course of your week at camp. So mainly there are social distancing and also, what was the other one? Oh, I want to talk about OA Brotherhood. So OA Brotherhood will be offered at the Fall Conclave, and everything else, we still have a ton of things on there. Next slide, please. So here's an example of what a pod will look like. Each pod will travel to the 5 different program bases. This example starts in the Invention Campus. So your scouts will go to the Invention Campus and you'll know what classes they're going to from the pre-selected classes. And then that's what you're doing Monday, Tuesday morning. And then block 2, they go to the lakefront. The afternoon, they're going to be doing their classes down there. Wednesday is the different day. This is what we're shifting in our schedule. Wednesday, you will be in 1 program base all day. So this is where we get that extra merit badge from. So instead of having 4 classes, we're actually going to be able to offer 5 classes, which is really exciting. And then on Thursday, Friday morning, which is the shift 2, because usually Fridays are our makeup days, they will be at the East Campus, which houses the pool and archery and ecology at Finland. and then in the afternoon they are at Show and Do. So the big thing about here is just keeping everyone in the same pot. And oh, I wish I had that now. Next slide. Thank you. So we will be reaching out to you about all the information and let you know what we kept and what we need to change. So let's talk about some of those camp-wide programs and changes. So our daily flags are changing. Just because of social distancing, we're not actually be doing flags in the parade field this summer. So what we're going to do is we're encouraging all the units to do ceremonies in their campsites. And one way you can do this is by following Camp Han, the podcast, which just went live today. So you can find it on Spotify right now, and we're also working on getting it into other different platforms so you can still access it. So we'll have various things for you for what we would normally do at flags, and check it out. You'll learn lots of cool things. Our campfire is going to look different too. We are working on a traveling campfire right now, potentially going across a couple days. Our OA call out will also be a little different. We won't be going down to the council ring for it. Those will be in campsites, and you'll learn more about it as the weeks go on and on the podcast too. The same thing with our Vesper service on Sunday. We'll be doing those in our campsites. Now, I'm stepping out of my territory, but the Trading Post Times, we're working on scheduling that by pods. And of course, we're working on evening program right now. Our area directors have been working on some different ideas because we're not going to be doing the same traditional things. But as soon as we get some of those thoughts figured out, we will definitely share them with you. So Drew, you may want to help me with this one. So like I said earlier, we are going to honor as many current registrations as possible based on the popularity of the merit badges. Now, right now, Drew's working on getting you all a spreadsheet detailing all the current course information. And we have week 1 of Scouts BSA done. We have not gotten to any other week yet. It took quite a bit of time. And what we're going to need is every Scout will have to pick some new merit badges for different program areas. And I believe, unfortunately, and sadly, we had 2 Scouts week 1 who none of their classes really worked out in the schedule. But lots of Scouts had 2, 3, some even had all 4 classes fit into their schedule. But they're all going to be taking 5 potentially. So we're going to need you to select from our list that everyone's we've already started because the other Scouts are already enrolled in those classes. And Drew, what do you want to add to that?
So to add to that, what I will be doing is the main contact for the registration for the summer camp for your unit will be sent an email from me that's going to contain a spreadsheet that'll show what classes your individual Scout has already been registered in, and it'll have the blank blocks that they need to then choose a merit badge. In that point, they'll also be sent a list of badges so they can give us a first, second, and third choice for each block. That way we can make sure to coordinate things to the best of everybody's abilities. And I saw a question in here somewhere about preference on if Scouts already signed up for classes. Currently, the way it's set up, everyone is going to be taken from their current registration information in Double Knot, and that'll get thrown in this spreadsheet. And that spreadsheet will go out to those registration folks. That way they can still have preference and they will still get those classes that they want. Another question I saw was about the classes that have fees associated with them. Of course, if the class is canceled that you had a fee associated with, we will offer a refund as needed to make sure to work with your unit.
Awesome.
Okay.
I think the next thing I want to talk about is class size. I believe I hope that's next slide.
I don't know that we have a slide for that, but go for it.
Okay. So I want to talk a little about class sizes. We have certain class, and really, in all honesty, everything worked out really nicely for us, especially with session 1. We'll be reaching out if there's any different things for the other 3 sessions. For example, we have a few classes that we're limiting. Well, actually, all of our classes are being limited, mainly between 8 and 12 Scouts in a class. The smallest class size will be our welding, which will have 4, and that's worked out nicely for us with the scheduling. Jet ski's been limited to 5, and that's working out nicely too. And then blacksmithing, rifle, and archery are limited to 8. I skipped pistol, which has 4 right now. And all these registrations have worked out really nicely. So it's worked awesome. So we're really excited that we can still offer all these diverse programs across our camp. And then every other class has a max of 20. There is a case of camping having a lot of scouts, and we understand that. There are 16 in that group. So what we're actually doing is every program area has one person the area director who's overseeing it, and they're not actually teaching until we get to the situation where we have a class of 16 or 20. What we're gonna do with those classes, we're gonna split them in half, and then the area director will take that. So no worries about certain classes like that without specific equipment you need to have. Okay.
Drew, or Cookie, do you have anything else you need to add, or shall I pick back up?
I think we're ready to go on.
All right. You've heard a number of things that we've talked about along the way, and a few things I want to highlight. Additional things that you might not normally bring to camp that we've referenced or that I'll reference here. We talked about daily temperature and health checks for the staff conducted by the medic and for the campers conducted by the units. We do not have a large supply of thermometers, so we'd like units to bring a thermometer to handle that process. As Dennis mentioned earlier, bringing personal tents or unit tents to help reduce the contact and spread out a little bit. Bring your own cots. Most camps or most units already do, but bring your own cooking supplies and cook kits and so forth. We'd also encourage you and request that you bring cleaning supplies for your campsite, in addition to soap and hand sanitizer for your scouts. We're going to have a lot of hand washing stations and sanitizer stations around camp, and we're going to be doing a lot of cleaning of all of the common facilities and shared equipment and that sort of thing. But would like for you all to take the lead on your campsites. As Cookie mentioned, the staff will be doing flags in the parade grounds, but we'd like units to do flag ceremonies in their campsites. So certainly bringing your unit flags if you don't normally. As far as the campers go, if you have a scout who's taking blacksmithing or climbing or camping, they need to bring their own leather gloves. If you have scouts who happen to have a life jacket and are taking a boating class, they're more than welcome to, and we'd love to have them bring their own so they don't have to share. And certainly bring your camp chairs so you can spread out and do the social distancing and enjoy everybody's company that way. Keep an eye out on your email and on our website. We're updating the leader guide with all of the changes that we've discussed here this evening. The pre-camp health screening form that was referenced earlier will be sent out to everybody. Our camp health and safety plan, in an earlier slide, you saw the cover for that. And from Drew, the merit badge selection spreadsheet and information for any scouts where we need them to pick which classes they want to take if we haven't already been able to accommodate them based upon what they had initially requested. At this point, we're going to go through the Q&A screen here, and we'll field the questions as we can, or I'll divvy them up to folks in our panel. First one was, can scouts tent alone, or do they have to share? And they can share. We'd like, we're saying limit to 2 scouts per tent and sleeping head to toe. So you're spreading out your heads a bit. That would be good. If a unit wants to bring tents and have everybody camp individually, you're welcome to do that. We don't have campus wall tents to facilitate that, so you would need to bring your own tents. Also asked about the protocol for shared equipment. As I mentioned, we have a cleaning protocol for everything in camp, which includes shared equipment. So things like archery equipment or paddles and boating or shooting sports or any of the things in the welding and blacksmithing and all of those areas, we will be carefully sanitizing those between uses. And our block scheduling actually makes that easier for us to do because we're not having 3 class sections in the morning and 3 in the afternoon and as high of a turnover of scouts from section to section. There was a question about prerequisites for welding. Welding merit badge, the prerequisites are being 14 years old, and they have the same clothing requirements that you would have for the blacksmithing merit badge. Someone asked about the events being canceled. We had a slide on that. Will the troop be issued materials and equipment to do the health screenings? We have a form that you'll have for the health screening, which with the exception of a temperature check, and as I mentioned, we'd like you to bring a thermometer. It's just a matter of questions. Are they have they been vomiting or headaches or sore throat and that sort of thing. Asked about will refunds be issued for scouts or adults that fail a pre-camp medical check? Yes, they would. Matt, you asked about routine cleaning of the gators. I'm not sure what you're referring to as gators. If you're talking about the neck coverings, we're not facilitating that. We will have additional in the trading post available for purchase if you'd like to wear one today while the other one is drying and rotate them out, washing like that. There was a question, if a scout has signed up for a class, will they be given a preference? Drew, you had indicated you wanted to answer that.
Yeah, so the way that it's set up right now with the current registrations in the spreadsheet, if they are already registered for a class, they do already have that preference. There are some situations where individuals may have signed up for a couple classes in a specific base, such as they were signed up for both swimming and canoeing. At that point, there's a couple question marks in the spreadsheet. They will have to pick which one that they would like from those two, but they would still get preference being put into that class before others that are not signed up for a class in the aquatics area.
I think there were a couple more that you had indicated you wanted to answer.
They're not working on my end to show me that I've indicated that I would like to answer them live.
This says, what if scouts want to do a merit? I'm guessing it says pad offered that day. I'm not sure what that question was. Michael, if you want to retype that, we'll get to it as we scroll through. Will our bills be adjusted to reflect amounts paid for programming? Yes. If you had a scout who signed up for something that had an additional charge and they wind up not taking that, your bill will be adjusted accordingly. Have a scout with celiacs. How do we work through that? Dennis, do you want to pick up on that? We have, or Drew, we have paperwork.
I can comment on that one. So
right.
When everyone was registered, there was a point that it was actually asked for medical restrictions and or food allergies so that we can accommodate it. If you're unsure that your point of contact hasn't put that in, just shoot me an email. My email is charles.wood@scouting.org, and I can make sure to get it all worked out with you.
Rob asked about mile swim. Cookie, what's the plan for mile swim?
We don't want to be mixing, so right now we're planning on not doing mile swim this year.
Okay, what about older scouts who could potentially have every merit badge offered in an area? We would have to address that as the time comes, but I will tell you that the way they've been lumped together, it's a good variety of things that would be of interest to younger first-year campers and things that would be of interest to older campers. Did I do that one okay, Cookie?
Yeah, I think it'll be a rarity if that happens, but if it does, we can make things happen. We're flexible.
Lucinda asked to see the PODS class list again. I'll scroll back to that here in a little bit. And as I mentioned, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to look back at it once we get it posted online tomorrow. How soon do we find out class schedules? We have several scouts that need boater's license, need to know ASAP if they'll really need one. That's something, Drew, do you want to, it's really a matter of how quickly we get the information out to you and get it back from you. What week, depends on what week you're in, I assume, too.
Yes. Right now, we're very focused on week 1, and we're putting together the other the other 3 weeks. Week 1, I'm hoping to try to get all of that out tomorrow. With regards to the spreadsheet where you need to pick which class.
Gotcha. Do we have the opportunity to withdraw and get a full refund? We certainly hope you won't. I think as you look through the class availability and all of that, you will find that that there are lots of great things to choose from. But yes, if it comes to that, we would make a refund based upon a cancellation from COVID. Can adults or scouts who would like to attend based upon current information still sign up? Yes, we do have the ability to add some scouts. And Dennis or Cookie, do you want to hit on that?
Yes, I can, David. Yes, if you want to add adult leaders, scouts, just please go ahead. And if you're in blocks 1, 3, and 4, you won't be able to add. You'll need to send an email to Charles.Wood, which he's just said that a while ago. And between him and I, we will work it out so we can add those few that you want to bring. Thank you.
Question, when will we be receiving the new class choices? That will be coming out very soon, and Drew and Daniel will look at, we'll take a look at those things that require, like the Missouri Boater's License and so forth, and make sure we can hit on those quickly so you've got plenty of lead time there. Will we need to social distance in the pods? Also concerned about free time, the need for it, and structure due to circumstances. Absolutely, free time is important. As a scoutmaster, I rarely encourage my scouts to fill their entire days with everything. Just the time at camp is nice to have. Yes, we will be encouraging social distancing within the pods. The pod system is designed to help limit or prevent different groups of scouts from crossing pods, if you will, with other groups. But within your pods, you will certainly want to distance. And the pods are being structured to where they're all camping together, or at least in any given pod, in any given campsite, there is not more than one pod represented. Is there a specific thermometer that is required? Not specific. We're looking at using infrared and temporal thermometers. Julie, do you have any guidance or suggestions there?
I think anything that doesn't go in somebody's mouth is better. So you're right. Anything temporal. Ears are a little bit harder, but that sounds like a good choice. Temporal or skin ones.
Asked, did we mention should units be bringing dining flies? We do have pole shelters in all of our campsites. We will be having dining flies out in the program areas and around camp to help facilitate the social distancing within classes. If you would like to bring additional dining flies, you're certainly welcome to, but that was not something that was specifically on the list. What happens when you end up with a scout with nothing to do during part of one of the sessions?
What a wonderful question. I think that, well, number one, I would find it really, I think it would be kind of difficult for that situation to happen still. But if it does, we definitely have things to do. We've always encouraged our older scouts to do service projects for camp. There's tons of ways. And you know what? You can also be a CIT. We love that.
All right. A question asking if the zip line is still an option. The zip line is part of the COPE program, and the COPE program will not be happening this summer. Question about the Q&A being saved to be read later. It's not saved in print, but it is saved as part of the recording we're doing. Are all the members of a pod members of the same troop? Not necessarily. A pod will have as many as maybe 40 scouts in it. So if you're bringing a troop with 40 scouts, then the answer is yes. If you're bringing a troop with 10 or 12 scouts, you'll be grouped into a pod with other troops to get you up to that size. But there will be troops from geographically, from the same district within our council or from out of council units. So you'll be grouped together that way. Did I get that right, Daniel?
Yes.
Question about Any restrictions for out-of-state troops attending? No, there are not. Nothing outside of what's on the health form and the camp pre-check. Will the blocks be the same for all weeks?
Hey, Dave, can I go back to that one real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think restrictions for out of states. You also need to, if any troops are coming from out of state, you need to keep in mind any state or county or city restrictions that you have from where you're coming from as well, and you've got to be able to follow those as well if you're coming to Lake Leo or Scout Reservation this summer.
Thanks, John. That's a good point. I know we've had some units that are coming from areas where there are travel restrictions in place within those areas, and you have to abide by that as well. Daniel, did you want to answer that? Will the blocks be the same for all weeks?
Yes. The answer is the blocks aren't even the same for week 1. It's gotten modified to fit the needs of each camper. So that's something that's what's taking so long. We're really going in and looking at every single camper and seeing what's going to make sense for them. So week 1 doesn't look the same at all, and I guarantee week 2, 3, and 4 are going to look completely different too. So that's really exciting that we're able to do that for everyone.
The blocks, block 1, if you recall the chart, was Monday, Tuesday morning, and block 2 was Monday, Tuesday afternoon. Those time frames will be the same. Yes. And the list of classes that are available in any given program base will be the same, but the specific list of which of those 8 or 9 badges that are offered in that program base that will be offered at any given time from session to session or even within an individual week will vary based upon the desires of the scouts and what they've selected as their choices. Does the camp permit hammocks? Yes, we do. Will the menus for the week be available soon? They are available, and if you shoot an email to me or Dennis, we will get that sent out to you. Drew, question, what's the timeline for the new merit badge activities to be sent out?
So like I mentioned earlier, the hope is that session 1 will go out tomorrow. The others will go out as we get them closer and better figured out.
Rick asked how many scouts are expected and are staff being COVID tested before they arrive at camp. We have anywhere from most weeks we're looking at 140 to 160 scouts in camp. Those are particularly the weeks 1, 3, and 4, which we have closed the online registration piece to. If units need to add somebody, they can add a scout, but we're not taking additional units. We have more space available in week 2. Staff are not being COVID tested, but staff are subject to the same pre-camp screening process that everyone else is, and we will be monitoring, our camp medic will be monitoring temperature checks and so forth for them on a daily basis. There was a question about Cub Scout weeks. We'll be doing another webinar probably same day, same time next week to talk about Cub camps and talking about the scheduling surrounding that. The protocols and that sort of information is the same, but the program is a little bit different. Schedule for showers. That's something that Dennis and others are looking at and working on. We're not right now initially planning on having a published schedule for showers. Each of the pods, the members of each pod will be getting a wristband, as we've given to campers for years, and those wristbands will be color-coded by your pod. So we're expecting a certain level of self-policing to make sure that you're not mixing there. If we have to do some scheduling for shower houses, that's certainly something that we can look at doing. What if someone gets sick? If someone in your campsite is sick, or as you're doing that daily morning health screening, someone's showing symptoms, have them stay in the campsite, reach out to Dennis or the camp medic, and the medic will come and pick up that scout, get them to the health lodge, assess them, and if it's something where they need to go home, then we'll have isolation tents set up away from the rest of camp and near the med lodge where they can stay while they're waiting for somebody to come pick them up. Will all scouts from a troop need to show up at the same time for check-in? Dennis?
If all possible, I'd like them to show up. It makes it a lot easier to process your unit and get your unit to the campsite. So yes, we would prefer them to all show up and be together. I know in the past, some have come in late and stuff like that, but try to work it out so that your troop comes together and can be there. If not, please send me an email and we can call or email back and forth and talk about this. Thank you.
Question about platforms for tents. We have concrete platforms in each campsite for our wall tents that we typically use. Those are certainly available. And I believe we do have a supply of wooden tent pads. I'm not certain of that. Dennis, do we still have some wooden tent pads as well?
We do have a few, David, but we're going to be using some for our CITs and some for the area if someone comes down with any illnesses. So we probably got 5, maybe 6 spare pads at this time.
Okay. If an adult leader is not able to arrive until Monday, what's the protocol for them to check in? Everyone will check in with the camp office, and the first part of that check-in process will be that pre-camp screening form. If you have a leader that comes into camp on Sunday and checks out on Monday and comes back on Friday to be part of the return trip home from camp, they'll need to turn in another screening form when they arrive back at camp. Will scouts have to go to the medic's office for daily medication? Dennis or Julie or?
Typically that medications are distributed by the scoutmaster.
Yeah, if they require refrigeration, we would store them for them. Anything to add there, Dennis?
If they're needing the coolness, we can store them in there as well, and we can give them plenty of ice to keep medications cold and everything. But no, we have done this in the past. Scout leader will take care of it. Unless he's uncomfortable with that, then we will make other arrangements with our medical staff to do so. Just please email or let us know so we can work on this for you.
Questions about where face coverings will be required to be worn. There are 4 indoor facilities where program happens that they would be worn. That would be in the Invention Lab building, in the welding area, in the trading post, and in the Welcome Center. They will also be worn at the Rifle Merit Badge because there's distancing challenges there. Will the scouts need to monitor their health for a week prior to camp or need to quarantine for a time period prior to the start of camp? They'll not need to quarantine prior to the start of camp, but when you get that pre-camp medical form, it has a very detailed list of symptoms that if a scout answers yes to any of those questions, they should not come to camp. If coming from 3 hours away, would it be better to arrive after eating lunch with our trailer as a group closer to 1 p.m.? To avoid dropping trailer and gear and going back out of camp for lunch? Dennis?
As far as dropping your trailers, just send me an email of the session that you're coming, what time you're estimating to be there, and while you're being checked in and everything for our check-in service, we will move your trailer to your campsite for you. It'd be no problem. Just please email me and let me know what session you are and troop number, and we'll make that happen for you.
I'd like to add something about the pre-check-in. So especially if you have a group who's coming from a long way away, if it's probably a good idea if you ask your scouts all those questions before you pack them in a car together. Make sure nobody's got any fever, because you don't want a bunch of people having to travel and then go right back home.
Yeah, you don't want to be riding in a car where the whole car has to turn around. Yeah, thank you, Julie. Dennis, will there be provisional troops?
Yes, we have a few that we'll be having. So yes, there is. I'm not sure which session they are right now without looking at the form, But we do have some provisional scouts coming to camp this year. If you have any interested, please let Drew and I know, and so we can get working on that and get it set up and ready.
Another question, maybe for you or for Daniel, will you have enough openings in classes for all kids that are registered? We have enough space in all the classes based upon the class size that Cookie mentioned earlier that we can cover all of the campers we have registered. I'm not sure if that was exactly the question. Cookie, Drew?
Yes. The only exception would be those really small classes. And those have already been filled really by our existing registrations.
And to build on that, if they aren't filled, the way we would be filling them after that point is via a lottery system, just to make it fair for everyone.
While you're on Cookie, chess tournament, honor patrol, pioneering award, Dutch oven cook-off.
All of those things are things that the camp staff will be brainstorming starting next week during staff week. So we will definitely get all those things out to you as quick as possible.
Do you want us to have scouts self-quarantine after we come back from camp? And another related question, will information be kept on all campers due to contact tracing if needed afterwards? We'll be checking in with every unit 1 week after they've left camp and 2 weeks after they've left camp to see whether anybody has developed any symptoms, and then we would handle whatever tracing and notifications need to be made based upon that. If you have a camper who is coming from a family, and you'll see this on the form as well, coming from a family that has someone who is immunocompromised or undergoing certain medical treatments, they may want to consider quarantining away from grandma that they live with or whatever when they get back, just for that purpose. Julie, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, the latest data says that most children, even if they get it, which is a rare event, are not going to spread it, which is really quite reassuring. But it makes good sense that if you've got a kid who's coming from a family that maybe somebody in the family's old, they're getting treated for something that compromises their immune system, that they don't hang out together and for probably, they're saying 2 weeks. And that can be just a matter of going to a different room. But for most kids, that's going to be a very rare event, and it's very unlikely that they're going to spread it around. So for most kids, they won't have to isolate at all once they go home.
All right. What about adults who want to stay a portion of the week and come and leave during the week? I think I referenced that earlier. Each time they come into camp as a camper, they're going to need to turn it, to go through the med check and turn in one of those forms. Someone asked the number of scouts we currently have registered for week 1. We're right about 150, 160 scouts that week. Will the scouts be camping in the site that was selected at registration? If at all possible, we will be doing that, but we will be rearranging some units based upon getting the pod structure right. Jessica, if you want to shoot us an email, we can answer that question specific to your troop.
Yes, and that's already been done for all of week 1. So Dennis will be reaching out to all units.
What med forms does the staff need to bring to camp? Staff completes the same health form as campers. The BSA parts A, B, and C, and it's now actually B1 and B2. Those are expected to be turned in, as well as that pre-screening form. Boy Scouts of America did make an exception this year. If there is a scout that is unable to make an appointment with a physician to get the Part C portion of that physical completed, they can attach a Part C that is dated February 1st of 2019 or more recently than that, or a sports physical, school physical that recent to the Parts A and B. Parts A and B have to be completed within 2 weeks prior to camp. Cookie, what's the Spotify name for the podcasts?
Camp on the podcast.
Dennis, you know the dimensions of the concrete pads for tents?
No, I really don't. I'm sorry about that.
Are the shooting badges still planned? Rifle shooting will still be offered. The specialty shooting sports will still be offered. The shotgun shooting will not. Will there be tents already set up, or we use the concrete pads? We will set up some tents based upon what we find out from units in terms of whether you're bringing your own or not, but we'll be doing that by request. They will not be automatically set up for every campsite unless you tell us that you need to. Yes, ice will be available at camp. Dennis, what's the cost for ice, or is there?
Well, this year we made a little change on that. If I have large units that are coming, 30, 40 in the troop, the free ice that they will be receiving, like we've been doing 5 for standard, they will be allotted a lot more. Usually, if you need more ice, let us know. It's we've got plenty of ice and we'll be happy to do it. If you need more, we'll get more. Usually it costs about $1 a bag, but this year we're going to do a little bit different on units that need more than 5 bags.
Cookie, what about swim tests? Asked if there were swim tests conducted by the camp. We will do some swim tests. What's the timing of that?
So as of right now, we are working on figuring out our full plan for that. But we know that a lot of units will be doing pre-testing, and we will do some at camp for sure. Our goal is to kind of keep it pretty consistent with what we've done in the past, but we'll definitely be slowing down that process so we don't have mixing of pods.
And we would encourage units to pre-test if at all possible. Cookie, back to you. Special precautions for swimming at the lake or the pool, and how will pool activities look with social distancing?
What a great question. And it's honestly a question for the Rangers. I don't really have an answer for that. I'm so sorry.
Trailers taken to campsite. Dennis, is the staff taking those back? No personal vehicles in camp?
No, if they get in there too late in the day, we will take them back. Quartermaster or myself will take them back to their campsite. But once they get themselves checked in, they will be able to move their trailer to their campsite, and then that vehicle has to come out as soon as they can get it unloaded. And they'll leave the trailer at their campsite. That's what we're going to do. We've been doing it in a way in the past, but we're going to continue to do that. But they must go through, complete the full check-in process before we can allow them to take their own trailer in. If not, we will take it in.
Cookie, there was a question about evening swims, and also a question about how Brown Sea was being handled.
All evening program, like I said earlier, we're going to work on that during staffing and get it out to you. Brown Sea will be housed at Show and Do still. It's instead of being a 4-day program this summer, it's going to be a 2-day program. And as of right now, when I look at session 1, we have a max of 6 scouts in that, so I'm sure we'll be able to get some quality time in with them.
Question about swim test from last year. Swim test has to be within 12 months. Is that correct?
Yes.
Someone had some audio difficulties. Asked about the health screening requirements. The pre-camp screening form will be emailed out to units here within the next day or two. BSA health forms. It's not just A and B only, it's A, B, and C. And if the scout or the camper is not able to get to their provider for Part C, they have to have a Part C or a school physical or something like that was completed no earlier than February 1st of 2019. And in that case, Parts A and B have to be completed within 2 weeks of camp. There was a question about the distribution of water. Recognizing that many scouts touch the water jugs daily. Are we distributing water jugs?
David, we only distribute water jugs to our program areas. And each of the program areas will have to sanitize their areas, their water jugs, to keep them clean and everything. We may even have the staffer actually be the ones pushing the button to fill water containers up. It's something we're going to work out during staff training.
Yeah,
Yes,
I was gonna add that we talked about having a designated staff member to operate the lever to dispense the water. Will scouts be able to speak with a water sports counselor and be tested, discuss, review everything except the actual skiing requirement? Cookie?
I will put that on my list to talk to Jack. I actually have an area directors meeting tonight, so I will ask him how he wants to go with that. And I'll get back to you.
All right. Yes, Danny, there are water spigots at every campsite. Have we missed anything? What kind of bathrooms do we have? We have a variety of bathrooms. We have some group shower houses with multiple stalls in them. We have a number of individual bathroom facilities where it's a one person at a time type of facility. We also have pit latrines in a number of campsites. Do we get to use the tent concrete for our own tents? Absolutely. If you tell us that that you don't want our tents, and actually if you don't tell us that you do want our tents, those concrete pads will be open and available for you to use. And a couple questions about the pods slide, and I'm not sure which slide that was. Were we talking about this? This was a sample schedule for one of the pods in camp, one of the 5 possible pods in camp. That particular pod would be doing the Invention Campus at Block 1, Lakefront Aquatics Block 2. The other pods at camp would rotate through those same 5 program bases, just in a different timeline. Dennis, the Gaga pits, will they be open?
No, I'm very sorry about this. I know it's going to really make a lot of Scoutmasters probably cringe a little bit, but no, there'll be no dust clouds at camp. That's usually what happens with the Gaga pits. But no, we're going to have to keep them closed because we can't guarantee the safe distancing on it. So both of the Gaga pits will be closed.
But hang on to those neck gaiters. They'll be convenient the next time you come back to camp and play Gaga. OA elections at camp.
Yes, on Sunday during check-in, that will happen.
Wendy Martin asks, can we show the pod slide again? John asks if we can see the spreadsheet one more time. Is that the slide that I've got on the screen?
I'm
yes,
thinking, oh, go ahead.
No, go on.
I think they may be asking for, I guess I'm thinking there may be wanting to see more it laid out in a way, which we don't have in this presentation. Or is that?
You know, there's the 5 program bases, and each pod will spend one of the 5 blocks in one of those program bases. And as you can see, there could be 8 or 10 different classes offered at each program base. There will be 5 or maybe 6 offered at any given time, depending upon the wishes and desires of the scouts that we get back from the unit leaders. And the schedule would rotate, you know, depending upon which base you're in at which time, in blocks according to that schedule. Yes, Christine, it's okay to put a tent on the ground. Slide for canceled activities. Let's see. There's the activities that will not be offered this summer. I should point out that while we're not offering the metalworking merit badge because that's a 4-day class, and as Daniel said, we're not doing 4-day classes. They're all either 2-day classes or 1 full day. We are offering a blacksmithing opportunity, so anybody who wants to participate in that will still be able to do some blacksmithing, just not all the way through to getting the merit badge.
Yes, and that'll be open to beginners and experienced people.
What activities will be available for adults while scouts are in class?
I honestly believe that's the next step. I think we'll start figuring out some things once we get done with the merit badge schedule for all the scouts.
What about troop out and abouts?
Unfortunately, we're not going to be doing out and about, but we're going to be having some different troop activity programs at the evening time.
Carl, to answer your question, no, there will be only 1 pod at any given program base at any time. And that will allow us to sanitize between pods coming, whichever one's there in the morning versus which one's there in the afternoon. We'll also be sanitizing shared equipment between users. Asking if a family can share a tent. The Scouts BSA guidelines are that 2 scouts from the same family can share a tent, provided they're not more than 2 years of age apart. But youth and adults from the same family are welcome to tent together in Cub Scouts, but not Scouts BSA. I'm not seeing any other questions popping up on my list. Again, I thank everybody for participating here. We've appreciated all of the questions and all of the information. I think somebody had asked about seeing these, but here's the list of classes in each of the different bases. And Drew will be sending out information to everybody here in the next, over the course of the next several days, based upon which week you're signed up for, to give you information about what scouts are able to be slotted into classes and how those things are going to work, and give your scouts the ability to give us a first, second, third choice within each program area. Drew or Daniel or Dennis, anything you'd like to add?
I think the biggest takeaway is there is a little bit of change, but we are definitely going to accommodate for everyone, and we're really going to make this a really fun summer with some new exciting things that may stick, like Camp on the podcast, now on Spotify.
One thing to everyone still here, it's been a wonderful time being the camp director at Lake Ozark Scout Reservation. I have no regrets. It's positive. Memories are made. It's like a home for me. The staff is magnificent. They're wonderful. I can't say enough about how they put this together, how they thrive, and everything on helping you all as well. So just remember, we're coming to camp. We're going to have fun. It's going to be the best camp that we're ever going to have. And we're here to make memories for our scouts so they can become better leaders for after they take over for us. Thank you all.
Drew or Daniel? Question about specialty shooting sports. That is the pistol program. Yes, swimming is being offered. I saw a question appear and then disappear. No, a brother and sister cannot share a tent. The age for the specialty shooting sports, they must be 14 years old or a 4th year camper, I believe. Is that correct, Dennis? Cookie?
Yes, I believe so, David.
I will say on all the paperwork we've promoted it for is 13 to complete 8th grade.
All right, I think we've hit on everything, and again, I'll turn it over to John to finish here in just a second, but I really do want to thank everybody for making your plans to come to the Lake of the Ozarks Scout Reservation this summer. We consider ourselves to be the premier camp in the Midwest, and have an amazing program and a fantastic staff. And they have put, as you can see tonight, a lot of time and energy into designing our program and our camp protocols to make sure that you have the best summer camp experience that you've ever had. John?
I want to say, thank everybody for joining tonight. Well over 150 people listening in, and we probably lost some through the Q&A because they got the information they needed. But I can't say enough. Thank you for what you do as a leader, and thank you for investing in the Lake of the Ozarks Scout Reservation with the Great Rivers Council and everything that we're going to offer this summer. It's going to be a great experience. Yes, it will look slightly different, but we are looking forward to a fantastic summer and can't wait to see you at camp.